So this urban birding is a whole nother deal. The thrill is the same, but the experience is completely different. You're out there in the field, but it's a developed environment, so you don't get that same connection to nature. But if your purpose is looking for birds in the urban environment, your brain kind of brings that natural element to an artificial habitat. It's pretty cool. And you're going to be surprised if you've never done this at how successful you're going to be as a bird watcher finding birds in the urban environment. That environment hasn't always been built, and birds have been there a lot longer than buildings have. So they're probably readjusting to the artificial environment, or new birds that fancy the urban environment have moved in. So other than the food sources being displaced, and in some cases water sources being moved or removed, wetlands being dried up, which is quite a bit. I understand development changes things in the habitat, but it also creates new and different habitat. So along with displacement comes replacement, and then some birds just adapt and they don't leave. So they're still in the urban environment. Now, once you're in the urban environment, there are so many other things you're going to encounter. You find yourself, instead of identifying plants and foliage, you're reading historical markers, like one I came across over in Johnson City. You're going to see more footage of a fantastic park in Johnson City, Tennessee. While I was there, I learned it's the birthplace of Mountain Dew. Who knew? Had I not been urban bird watching, perhaps I wouldn't have known that fun fact. Also, you encounter things such as public art all over the place. Driving by in your vehicle, you'd have no idea. But once you park and get out and walk around and get familiar with the environment, it's pretty cool. I found that this place we're going in Johnson City was also a great place for exercise. It hosts lots of community activities, and it's surrounded by culture and music and art and food and breweries and tap house. It's full of excitement and community energy. I was there for the birds, but while I was there looking for the birds, I was also immersed in the community environment. So it was a wonderful experience, and I found that most places that I've done urban birding, including Denver, Colorado, Fairbanks, Alaska, Tucson, Arizona, you get the picture, all over Florida. Just the birds are there. Sometimes we're distracted by the urban environment. We don't pay attention to the birds, but when we make it our purpose, we go there and we find birds. Now, I like to look at databases where people have deposited their bird sightings and see what's been seen there before I get there. And wow, if you'll do an internet search, you'll find lots of these birds lists have been compiled and uploaded at different places on the internet, and the urban environment is a target-rich area. Wow, who knew? Well, if you know, you know. If you don't know, that's why I'm trying to convince you. Give urban bird watching a try. Maybe on your commute, you can do some windshield or side window bird watching. Maybe during your lunch break, you find a nice park and notice, hey, guess what? There are birds here. But I do want to encourage you to get out there and check out nature as it exists in the developed environment. Now, I've seen some very sustainable new developments where both nature and the developed business district can co-benefit. Now, that takes a little bit of foreplanning, a lot of extra infrastructure, and it's not the cheapest. It does take some forethought and resources, but when it happens, it's really cool. And this park that we're going to spend some time in Johnson City, Tennessee, is one of those. The city had a great plan, and they did an environmental study that was followed to the T, and it brought back some life to an area that had previously been forsaken. I don't even know if the bugs wanted to go in this area. And now they've got a stream that was cleaned out. They've got an open field planted with indigenous plants. They've got public art representing local culture. They've got people there every day exercising, riding skateboards. They've added a playground feature. It's a wonderful thing, and certainly the birds are a part of it. I compiled a list of birds. I tell you, I was surprised at the birds I saw there. So let's take a look at my day in the park and some other information that's just plain interesting. I think you're going to enjoy it. Urban birding is a melting pot of sensory experiences. This park in Johnson City, Tennessee featured a lot of public art, including a mural with lots of really cool local birds. While I was in Fairbanks, Alaska, I noticed that ravens weren't shy about coming to the downtown area, and neither were the mew gulls. Over in Bristol, Virginia, the great blue herons just roost right on top of city buildings. Even the guardrails are a public art commission in this park. This one's called Floral Bridge Rails by Louis Body and Jim Masterson. And there's our state bird, enjoying a day in the park also. The urban birding opportunity is often overlooked, but nearly always present. If you're still long enough, you'll probably see some bird movement even in the low shrub and scrub or the defoliated trees in the winter here in the Appalachian Highlands. We're continuing to look around this King Commons Park. You can see it offers a diversity of habitat, which is key in attracting lots of different species of birds. Even though there's an absence of flocking birds here, there are lots of birds in the area. If you'll hang around to the end of the video, you'll see a list that I've compiled and left for you there of all the birds we saw, including a couple of surprises. I like to come to this park for exercise, for birding, and also some other outdoor activities that include fun things like viewing public art, geocaching. Let me touch on that for a second while we're here. Geocaching is the fastest growing outdoor activity in the world. Meanwhile, bird watching is the fastest growing activity in the United States. So these two have more than being fast growing outdoor activities in common. In the geocaching, you find a hidden treasure, so to speak, and then you log down that you were there and register it on a database. It's a treasure hunt. Much like finding a bird you're looking for, you find a hidden treasure using GPS coordinates. I'm into geocaching and bird watching so much, I've published articles for both of these hobbies. I did some geocaching while I was in Fairbanks, Alaska, and I've done some geocaching today. Geocaching is an app that's free to download and anyone can play. I'm fond of saying that being in the field is its own reward. And one of the reasons I say that is because you never know what you're going to experience or learn. The wind kicked up in the park. I noticed the neighboring building had flags in front and recalled that I could estimate the wind speed based on the angle of the bottom of the flag to the perpendicular flagpole. Well, here's the bird list I mentioned earlier of all the birds we identified in King Commons Park, Johnson City, Tennessee. And all that birding certainly does work up an appetite. And fortunately, a benefit of doing urban birding is you're near some fantastic restaurants. And this restaurant decor reminds me that I sometimes fancy picking the blues. I hope you'll enjoy this bluesy ukulele number. 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad rags on and join me, hun. We're gonna have some fun. When the clock strikes 1, we're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. When the clock strikes 2, 3, and 4, if the band slows down, we'll yell for more. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. When the chimes ring 5, 6, and 7, we'll be right in 7th heaven. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. When it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 2, I'll be going strong and so will you. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. when the clock strikes 12, we'll cool off then. Start rocking round the clock again. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock,